Peace. We're just going to look at the translation of the King James Version of the Bible, and it's an excellent translation, but as you'll notice it says King James Version, right? So King James was obviously the King of England, and in 1611 he commissioned a translation, and this in this country there is the Church of England, and that's who the monarchy have as their church. The monarchy used to answer to Rome, but Henry VIII set up a breakaway so he could get divorced, basically. And the Church of England, also known as the Nicolaitans, because spiritually they're known as the Egyptian heretics, added in the 1611 translation some leaven, because they've put in the abomination of the Zidonians, Ashtaroth, under another name, which is Easter. Okay, and in Acts 12, the 4th verse, we go to that now, we will see the appearance in the translation of the abomination Easter. Okay, and it's actually a very clumsy implant, and we'll just break it down as to why that is, because verse 4 it says, "And when he had apprehended him and put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him." Now this is talking about Peter, intending after, and in the King James Version of the Bible it'll say Easter, to bring him forth to the people. Okay, so in 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea, when they set up what's known as Christendom, which is the Roman Empire's false Christ version of Christianity, which is an abomination, known as the beast, which will go to hell, and its false prophet with it, and all the false Christs. They ordained the Roman observance of Easter as a subversion after the way of Balaam. So Easter was already being observed in the Roman Empire, in these temples. So they must have been desperate to insert it somewhere in the Bible, and they've inserted it over the word Passover, because if we break it down here, the previous verse, which is 3, it says, then, in brackets it says, "Then were the days of unleavened bread." Right? So we know Passover is approaching, if these are the days of unleavened bread, because if we go to Exodus 12, the Lord God commanded the children of Israel, the Lord God commanded the children of Israel to eat unleavened bread. Okay, 7 days before the 14th of Abib. Abib is the first month that they left Egypt. Okay, so this was the custom, to eat unleavened bread 7 days before the 14th, which the 14th day is the Passover. Passover comes from when the angel of death passed over them. They killed a lamb, put the blood on the door of their home, and the angel of death passed over, right? They were not keeping Easter as it's intended here. I mean, the children of Israel were subverted into the worship of devils and all the false gods of the Canaanites, the Queen of Heaven, and even Easter. They were subverted into that. In that, you know, as soon as they entered into the land, they were worshipping Ashtaroth and Baal. They'd forgotten the Lord, and this is why the Lord cast them out of Israel, because of worshipping the abominations of the heathen. Okay, and Ashtaroth is mentioned in the Bible as the abomination of the Zidonians in the Book of Kings. But in this respect, when they've put it into the translation, it's almost as though they're trying to infer that this is something that people who are professing to follow God should be following Easter. This is an abomination. So I just wanted to explain why that is, because if we go to Luke 22, right, it just backs up what I said about the days of unleavened bread. Here we go. The Luke 22 says, "Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover." So it's right there. The feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. Right? So go back to Acts 12:4. 12:3, and it says, "Then were the days of unleavened bread." So we just read in 22 of Luke. It's called the Passover. So verse 4 should be called "intending after Passover to bring forth of the people." And if you look at there's an earlier translation to the King James called the Geneva version. It's in there as the Passover. So yeah, for the purpose of removing the word Easter from the translation, I think we've done that. So at the moment, and from the 4th century, you've got a culture of deceived people who I'm sure they would like to be Christians, but because they're deceived into eating at the table of devils with the sins of Constantine, they're subverted after the way of Balaam, because in Numbers 25, Balaam subverted the children of Israel into fornication and the worship of strange gods, because a heathen king was intimidated by the might of Israel and wanted them cursed. And this is the curse. This Roman Empire version of Christianity is a false Christ. 25:12, Sunday and Easter. Temples built by the hands of man. Temples built out of stone. It's all an abomination. These are sorcerers who are posing as ministers of Christ, and they are the ministers of Satan. So come out of this idolatry and the Lord God will receive you. You can't eat at the table of devils and the table of the Lord. You have to come away from this world, as in the Apostle James general epistle. If any man loves this world, he is the enemy of God.